All right, we both watched episodes 1 and 2 of The Acolyte.
That's right.
We might come back to it at the end.
Oh, you think so?
I don't know.
Okay.
Depending on what week it's at and where we're at and what our names are.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like your Star Wars murder mystery set 100 years before The Phantom Menace, etc. On a budget of, what did you say it was, Mason?
$180 million.
Does that seem right to you?
That's a lot of money.
And it seems right to you.
You could make a lot of Hitman movies with it, a lot of Hitman sequels.
Oh, you could make several hundred, couldn't you?
Exactly. Especially if they reuse the old sets from the original Hitman.
Now, you might have seen, if you're visiting x.com, which I know you are.
That's right. That's the everything app. Of course,
got everything.
I do all my banking on it.
I've got all my banking on there. My passport's on there. I've just posted it.
Yeah, great.
Take a look.
Great.
Where it's got very high critical scores and very low audience scores.
Interesting.
And I think it's probably somewhere in the middle, honestly, if I'm honest.
Are you saying that there's some agendas there? Are you saying that there's some people giving this show 1 star because maybe there's a fire in space or there's sound in space?
Look, I'm sure there is that element of it.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I know they've been through it and like there are fires in space in Star Wars and it's not also real space because there's also sound. Who gives a shit, right? That's not a problem for me. Also, people are talking about how this is an attack on white men, etc., because it's a fairly diverse cast, I guess. But also,
I didn't even think of that. This is the same thing.
Exactly.
This is the thing we talked about this recently, where it's like I hate having to keep reiterating this.
Look at it this way, right? If you replaced all the lead characters in this with white men, that doesn't make it a better or worse show. This show isn't. It just is. Like, if everybody was a white guy who looked like Liam Neeson or whatever, it's the same show. The level of quality is
Except some of them would
the same.
Wet themselves.
Some of them would wet themselves. Yeah.
Okay, so it's difficult to even discuss the plot of this movie, this show, without spoiling it. No. I can do it without spoiling it. Ugh. So the opening scene, we've got Amanda Stenberg.
Yep.
She is playing some kind of assassin who challenges a Jedi to a battle to the death.
Fight me with all your force.
And then immediately afterwards, Amanda Stenberg is playing a mechanic who works on a starship. She's just a lowly mechanic.
And she's like, I used to be a Jedi.
And she's like, I'm not going to tell you what I was up to this weekend. I was just off, and so that's the hook. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I liked it. It was an interesting hook.
Yeah, I don't mind the hook. I'm not sure about the execution.
Oh, interesting. See, okay, well, I would say this is someone who's not a fan of Star. I wouldn't say I'm not a fan. I would say I'm not a fan of Star Wars.
You say that all the time.
As someone who is not, I do not feel compelled to see anything through to the bitter end. I don't. Unless I have to watch an Ahsoka, I'm probably not going to.
Yeah.
I think of that Ahsoka was not anything to me. It was not interesting. It didn't look good.
Yep.
None of it was surprising or thrilling.
Yep.
I thought The Acolyte was pretty good. The first 2 episodes of this. I liked that it, Star Wars I think is always good when it's wearing its influences on its sleeve. And like the original Star Wars, it was the Hidden Fortress and Seven Samurai and etc.
Yep.
And this feels to me like they've gone, what about Kung Fu?
Yeah, sometimes
like
Kung Fu.
Sometimes Kung Fu. And I thought the Kung Fu action sequences were very interesting.
I think some of the action sequences are pretty good. I mean, early on there's one with Trinity from the Matrix. Carrie Ann Moss. So I think that is staged really well.
She's still got it?
She's still got it.
Well, she's still got it, or they've just staged it very well.
Or she never had it.
Maybe she never had it. That's right.
I think Lee Jung-jae, who's from Squid Game, is really good.
He learned English for this, apparently.
Yeah, just like really amazing. And being able to kind of learn English to this extent and also being able to emote properly in another language is pretty impressive. I find it baffling they put Daphne Keane under that much makeup. I think if you had Daphne Keane, and she's obviously in Logan and whatever, and she puts an amazing performance in that, I would not have known that this was Daphne Keane through performance or through the way that she looks. That's confusing to me. I think it does look better than
Ahsoka.
But there is something about the aesthetic, and it's not in every scene, where it feels staged or costumes aren't
like a television show.
Things aren't like kit bashed enough, and like Do you know?
But I think a lot of it is like there's
some of it is.
Some of it is. There's a one thing I liked. There's a scene on a prison transport ship, an automated prison transport ship, and you've got the droids, the piloting droids are in the seats, like they're built into the seats. I thought that was
her
a lot
droid's
of fun.
Like a little Palm Pilot.
She's got a. I mean, all Star Wars needs like a new cute little thing that they can sell merch of, and has this Pip, which is a little robot. Even smaller than BB-8. What? Even smaller than BB-8's little friend, who's even littler. Yeah, but it's like a little It's a little PDA that you keep clips to a belt.
Yeah.
And it's got various functions. It's got a fire extinguisher. It's got
Which
all
is
the
good for space.
It's got all the classic R2-D2 stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was fun. And there was some good freaks. There's that guy, and he's got a big egg head, and he's got a tiny little visor for eyes.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
He's a good looking freak. I think I know what you're saying though, because they need to. Because this is prior to the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
So the look we're going for is sort of cleaner than the
it's the High Republic
the original
era.
series. Yeah. So I mean, I liked that there was a variety of different Jedi robes.
Yeah, sure. Different outfits and whatnot.
I thought the initial mystery was quite compelling, even though it's pretty much wrapped up at this 2 episodes in. We already know we're not in spoilers yet.
Yeah.
But pretty much we already know
what's going on
there. But I thought the hook was nice.
Yes, that I think is my problem with this. Unless there's some pretty big red herrings in here, and maybe there is.
I mean, there's got to be at least one, which we'll talk about in spoilers. Should we do spoilers now?
Let's do spoilers.
I'm going to say best series ever thus far. I liked it a lot more than I've liked a lot of recent Star Wars. And I think maybe that's because I don't
care.
I don't care, but I'm also, I think maybe it is. But I'm not forcing myself to watch all these.
I didn't mean that in a bad way.
But I think I'm not, there's some, again, like you've said, there's so much Star Wars, you can pick and choose what you want. And to me, this was compelling enough, and I like the characters. And I'm excited to see where this goes. So
I turned it off the first episode. It was kind of getting late, and there was like 10 minutes left, and I went, I'll see you tomorrow. And I think that says something about how invested I was in this, because I think in the first episode, you know enough about what's going on where I'm like, I get it.
Sure, okay.
Like, I'm not like, oh, what's next? Who's the next thing? Mm-hmm. Whatever. What happened? Are they... I can't spoil it.
Okay, but you have to pick best series ever or not.
It's the best series ever made.
That's great.
Yeah. Not just...
You're so dismissive of the system we've developed here. Okay, we're in spoilers. Big time spoilers for The Acolyte.
Yeah.
So, of course, the initial thought is, well, Amanda Stenberg, she's doing assassins. She's a mechanic, but she's also,
she's sneaking off.
She's sneaking off to be an assassin, but actually no.
Because she used to be a Jedi.
That's exactly right. But actually, though, she had a twin sister when she was a child.
Who died in a fire.
Well, maybe, but then she actually didn't.
Maybe there's no fires on Earth, planets, but there is in space.
Maybe that's
how
why
she survived.
Maybe that's right.
I didn't like the fire most. It made me upset.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking idiot.
People are like, oh, how could she not know? How could she not sense the presence using the Force of her sister? Well, Luke and Leia couldn't.
Exactly.
They didn't know.
They didn't know.
They didn't know at all.
Ben and Kylo Ren and Rey didn't know they were a Force dyad.
Ben and Lawrence don't know they're brothers. Our editors for the Mr. Sunday Movies videos. They're brothers. They don't even know.
They don't know.
They don't know.
Don't tell them, by the way.
They don't tell them.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care about any of that.
But anyway, so what the good sister is a mechanic now. She's doing sort of grunt work on the outside of starships, which is normally droid
for the
work.
Trade Federation, who should be more racist caricatures, by the way. Lean into that.
You think you think it's too woke that they've unracist?
Yeah, they've unracist them. They shouldn't have.
But anyway, the sister who we all thought was dead, she's actually still alive.
Yeah.
She's got super Jedi powers, and she is out for revenge. She's got some sort of evil master.
Who is it?
Who wants her to kill 4
Who is it?
Jedi? Well, I don't know. We don't know yet. That's the mystery.
Yeah, it is.
Do you think is
It's Jason from The Good Place.
Oh.
That guy.
Yeah.
The guy she's hanging out with.
Oh, no.
Unless that's a big red herring.
Yeah, right, okay.
But there was a moment at the end of the first episode where she goes back to the planet where she's training or whatever. And it's obvious at that point, she's obviously been trained in the Sith or whatever. And she looks up and there's a man standing in all black and he looks like Kylo Ren. And you're like, oh, that's the Sith guy who's been training her. And then he lights up a red lightsaber. Yep. Like nobody knows what the fuck is going on. Like if you're this deep in Star Wars, right? If you somehow stumbled across this, you'd probably figure out what's going on.
You gotta
right?
see it though, don't you?
Yeah, shit like that, it's like pointless.
Yeah. Maybe he was on the phone with Darth Maul.
Maybe he
was. They were showing each other their lightsabers.
Maybe they were, yeah. I guess it's a Star Wars thing, isn't it? But and also like it is this detective mystery about who's killing these Jedi.
Yeah.
We know that it's the sister, it's the twin sister, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's probably the guy that she's with and working with who pretends he's a bumbling fool.
Right.
Is probably her master.
But we don't know why yet. Because she is being told that she has to kill them without weapons.
Yeah.
That's why we have to do.
Oh, I think the director just came out and mentioned why.
Well, they have to do it kung fu style. That's why,
It's something. It's some reason I can't remember why. And I don't. Again, all those fights are fine, but I also think what I don't like about this, but I guess could also be seen as a positive, is that they put the Jedi onto this murder mystery.
Yes.
And Jedi, and we see this in The Phantom Menace, they're fucking stupid.
Yeah, they are.
They don't know anything. And I think what maybe
But they have the power, and they're like, well, we're
doing what's happening? They can't figure anything out.
Well, that's the thing.
The audience figures it out, and they don't. So I think there should be a guy who's a real detective that they pair them with.
A Sam Spade type.
A white man.
Oh, that's right.
No, just whoever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It could be a fucking droid, but just someone who's like, you're not a detective. You've been trained how to meditate and like cut a rock in half with a sword. Like, this is how you engage in a situation like this.
But I think you're right. And maybe we'll see that later. But I think that a thread that people seem to be with Star Wars that people seem to be deliberately turning a blind eye to is that they are bad at a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, that's why I said that maybe it is actually a strength.
Yeah. They have decided that they're the world's peacekeepers, and they're so arrogant that they're like, well, we've got all the power, so I think the genuine interpretation of the Jedi Order is that they're just. They're a cult. They're a cult, and they deserve what's coming to them. Like when they went, there's a guy who's going to bring balance to the Force. That'll be good for us. That'll be good for us, I think.
He'll be on our side.
Yeah, he'll be on our side. So we got in supporting cast is Charlie Barnett is the sort of the. He's a newish Jedi Knight, and so I like the fact that he was so very by the book and
he's ripped.
He's ripped and by the book. I thought that was cool. I liked him a lot.
I think it's cast really well.
The actor got some flack because he said something in
that Anakin Skywalker blew up the Death Star.
Yeah, but like,
who gives a shit? Why do people care about that?
But also,
Tony Gilroy made Andor. He fucking hates Star Wars, and I love that about him.
This character doesn't need to know anything about Anakin Skywalker or the Death Star or Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker or any of that because that's hundreds or possibly thousands of years in the future for this guy. Doesn't matter.
Years, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? I almost, I think it's good to have a balance of people who know what this is and people who are just like, yeah, it's an interesting role that I took on.
Also, Carrie-Anne Moss dies.
Yeah.
Not the actor. She's alive.
She's alive, thank God. I think she's going to return in flashbacks where you find out
as a Force Ghost.
who was really on fire.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But
who was really on fire.
But I think that was a nice establishment of the stakes because we assumed that as a name actor, she was going to be kung fu and all about the place for the entire series. But she just gets a dagger through the heart and
but
she
Mason,
dies.
a knife can't kill a person.
But
a lightsaber can't kill a person or something. That
so
discourse.
True.
Did you see that discourse?
Of course I saw the discourse.
And you
of course
loved it.
I'm saying I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Well, Jedi should be able to just pop it out of themselves.
I agree.
Pop a dagger out of themselves.
Keep the blood in your body.
Keep the blood in there.
There's a lot of things they should be able to do that they don't because they're stupid. Yeah, I don't know. I think my problem with the murder mystery is that if it is what it is, and maybe there's a twist in here that I have not seen coming yet, right? I think
that's pretty likely to happen.
Yeah. I mean, like, other than the things that I've said, then maybe I've read this wrong. But it does feel very, especially because it's from Leslie Headland, who did, like, Russian Doll. It just feels very by the numbers murder mystery where most of the pieces were revealed about 20 minutes into the first episode.
Yeah, right.
That's how I see it.
Well, guess what? You're probably going to get fooled.
I hope I do.
Or I'm the fool.
I genuinely hope that I do. Yeah. And again, like, it's fine. And you don't have to watch it also, you know?
As I thought as the number one Star Wars fan that you are, you would have liked this more. But there you go.
I did, again.
Turns out maybe I'm the number one Star Wars fan.
Maybe you are now. I didn't even hate it. Honestly, I didn't hate it. I thought it was, again, it was fine.
Again, I hope we can put that on the advertising for episodes.
I didn't even hate it.
3+ didn't even hate it. Mr. Sunday Movie's number one Star Wars fan.
I couldn't muster up the enthusiasm to hate it. But also, I see a lot of people are really enjoying it, which is great, and a lot of people are really hating it, which is also great. I see both sides.
We know you do.
And that makes me
a coward.
Better than everyone.
No, a coward. A coward.
Should we move it along?
Let's move it along.